Hi everyone, good to see everybody again. Today, obviously, ANZAC Day is a really special day for our nation. Just a little bit of an ad. Thanks to everybody who's been tuning in. Great to see so many people who've been writing comments, liking, doing that stuff. So church family, well done. That's really good. Back to ANZAC Day, such a special day for our nation and special in our family, as I'm sure it is in lots of families. And for us, we always tried to get to the dawn services and do those things, but it was largely due to Gayle, who's my oldest sister, who got us organised all the time to be able to do that because it was something that was really important to my dad. And to that end, I've asked Gayle to share a little bit about what ANZAC Day means to her and to share a bit with us. So Gayle, I'm going to hand over to you and everybody tune in tomorrow.
Thank you. Hello everyone. Just wanted to say a little bit about ANZAC Day. It originated after the First World War, and I know that ANZAC Day is really to remember the men from Australia and New Zealand who died in World War One. But I always like to use the occasion to remember all the men and women who died or served and in any war for our country. I remember the families that have lost someone or are trying to help someone who has returned from a war with physical or mental problems. ANZAC Day has always been important to our family. Dad, who was not a churchgoer, always attended the ANZAC Day services. Dad was actually in the army and he hoped to go to war, but in actual fact the war ended just as he was old enough to join. And in some ways, I think he was a little disappointed that he didn't get to go along. But so Dad was in the army. His dad, that's my and Rob's grandpa, served in New Guinea in World War II. We also had an uncle who served and was shot in World War II. And our grandpa served in New Guinea. I think I might have just said that. But anyway, they did, but all of our family did get to come home. And Dad always attended the services and encouraged us to attend and reminded us of how important it is to show our respect and remember the sacrifices that the men and women had made for us. I often think of how heavily they must have relied on and prayed to God during these frightening times. And we're lucky we have a God that looks after us at all times. And I'd just like to do a little prayer of remembrance at the end as well. If you'd like to join with me. Lord God, help us this day to remember the sacrifice of the first ANZACs, Australian and New Zealanders, and the generations of men and women and children who have died in the cause of liberty and peace. Help us to remember those who still bear the physical and mental scars and disabilities of their service. Help us to remember the widows, the partners, parents and orphans, and all those who waited in vain for the return of a loved one. Help us to remember the mateship, agony, courage and compassion of war service, but save us from ever glorifying the horror and the tragedy of war. Lord God, help us to remember. Amen.